Apple recently refreshed the base 14-inch MacBook Pro with the new M5 chip. Here's our video on how it compares against all the previous generation of MacBook Pros. Now, the M5 Pro and the M5 Max versions are only expected in early 2026, and according to multiple reports, these M5 models will mark the end of the current design, as Apple is now said to be working on a brand new generation of MacBook Pros, featuring a new display, a redesigned body, and many other upgrades too. So here's a look at 8 things to expect from this next-gen MacBook Pro. The first being the upcoming M6 series of chips, which could bring a massive boost in performance. You see, while the current M5 chips are built on TSMC's 3rd generation 3nm process, also known as N3P, the M6 is said to be Apple's first 2nm Mac chip. According to recent leaks, Apple may be adopting WMCM packaging, or wafer level multi-chip module, the same technology that's also rumored to come in the A20 chip in the iPhone 18s. This approach would allow Apple to tightly integrate multiple components, such as the CPU, the GPU, the RAM, and the neural engine within a single package on the wafer, rather than the RAM, for example, sitting beside the chip. And this will therefore dramatically improve speed and power efficiency. In short, the M6 MacBook Pro could deliver the most advanced performance we've ever seen on a Mac laptop. Now, aside from the new chips, the second upgrade is said to be the screen. And after years of using Mini LED, Apple is finally expected to switch to OLED. Ross Young predicted that Apple's display supply chain will have enough OLED panel capacity by 2026 to accommodate the MacBook Pros as well. And Bloomberg's Mark Gurman later confirmed that Apple is indeed preparing an OLED MacBook Pro. Samsung is said to be the only supplier for these new OLED panels, but you may ask, why is everyone so excited about OLED? Because the Mini LED screens that we currently have are already very, very good. Well, OLED screens offer several advantages, the main one over Mini LED being the lack of blooming thanks to the per pixel level brightness controls, and of course also a greater power efficiency, meaning possibly an even longer battery life. Speaking of displays, at number 3 we have the notch. And before that, a quick shout out to MacPaw's new cyber protection app, Moonlock. You see, I get a ton of emails, some with links and downloads that are filling up my inbox. So the chances of me getting malware are pretty high. Moonlock comes in to quarantine any malicious files through their real-time malware detection, so I don't need to worry about losing my data or my entire channel. And Moonlock's malware database is updated twice a week, so I'm protected from the latest threats that can target my personal data, banking info, and more. And not only that, but Moonlock can encrypt your web traffic too, thanks to their built-in VPN, so you can access any website you want when you need it. You can get 7 days of Moonlock for free and a 10% discount on your plan by using code TechMoon at the link below. Now, back to the notch. This was one of my most hated things about this generation. Not only did it look ugly, but most of my menu bar icons were hidden behind it, so I had to use a third-party app to make them visible, which I also had to pay for. I think that's just unacceptable on a device, having to pay to fix issues that the manufacturer should have fixed firsthand. I find it crazy that to this day, Apple still has not found a solution to the menu bar icons that just disappear, and that can render an app completely useless, by the way. So if you hate the notch as much as I do, well, I've got some good news. Research firm Omdia claims that the redesigned 14 and 16-inch models will feature a punch hole camera, similar to the dynamic island found on the iPhone 14 Pro and newer. Mark Gurman reported the same thing for Bloomberg. This would free up the menu bar and result in a far cleaner look. And honestly, it's so good to finally see the notch going away, as that design dates back to 2017 from the iPhone 10, and while it was cool, I guess, at the time, it does look very outdated today, let alone next year. It is unclear whether Apple will add dynamic island-style animations or just stick to the hole punch aesthetic, but either way, this is going to be a much welcome improvement. At number 4, we have the new thinner design, made possible by the move to OLED. You see, when Apple introduced the M4 iPad Pro in 2024, it became their thinnest product ever. Mark Gurman described it as the beginning of a new class of Apple devices, where every product would be the thinnest in their category. We also saw this on the new Apple Watch Series 10, which at the time was the thinnest smartwatch. We also saw it on the iPhone Air, which is currently the thinnest smartphone on the market. And the upcoming MacBook Pros, codenamed K114 and K116, are set to follow the same principle. These models are expected to be thinner and also lighter, while maintaining at least the same battery life and all the same ports as now. And that's notable because the 2021 MacBook Pro redesign actually made the design thicker and heavier. So it was a downgrade in terms of the portability, reason why I literally switched to a MacBook Air. One downside, however, is that only the M6 Pro and the M6 Max variants are set to be getting the new redesign and the OLED screen, while the base M6 model may keep the same design as now and the mini LED screen for a couple more years. But honestly, the price difference between the M6 and the M6 Pro MacBook Pros would need to be huge in order for anyone to even consider not getting the OLED M6 Pro version. More on the price later. But before that, at number 5, we have 5G. As yes, finally, Apple may be bringing cellular connectivity to the Mac. And that does make a lot of sense, as Apple has been developing their own in-house modems for the past year. The C1 debuted in the iPhone 16e, followed by the more efficient C1X in the iPhone Air and the M5 iPad Pro. And now Apple is set to be testing a second generation C2 modem with support for faster millimeter wave 5G, and they could integrate this into the MacBook Pro models as early as 2026. And if this is true, then it would let you stay connected anywhere you are without relying on Wi-Fi, something that I've been wanting for years. I recently bought the new M5 iPad Pro, the 13-inch with cellular, and it has completely changed the way I use my iPad. I just open up the lid and boom, it's just connected to the internet. I don't have to hotspot from my iPhone, which by the way, oftentimes just glitches out. On top of this, I've also had better cellular coverage on my iPad compared to my iPhone. And not only that, but I'm also not affecting my iPhone's battery life. So personally, I'm very excited for a cellular MacBook. Drop a like if you are too. But okay, up next we have the big one. The possibility of Apple adding touchscreen support to the MacBook, something that Steve Jobs never believed in.
We've done tons of user testing on this, and it turns out it doesn't work.
According to Ming-Chi Kuo and Mark Gurman, Apple's first OLED MacBook Pro will also feature a touchscreen. And I guess that was kind of expected. macOS icons have become bigger and bigger over the past few years, so I don't know, they kind of look like they were made for touch, right? Like the control center especially, looks like it was taken straight from iOS. However, some of the icons, like the menu bar icons, they are very small, so I'm not sure how those will work via touch. And also, I would find it a bit weird if the screen didn't fully rotate 360 degrees, like it does on most 2-in-1 Windows laptops, so that you could use it in tent mode or tablet mode. I feel like it needs to have that, as otherwise, I don't see many people even using this touchscreen functionality. Now, Apple reportedly developed a reinforced hinge and also screen assembly to make sure the display stays firm when you tap it, which would, also avoid the wobble that you get on many Windows laptops. And sure, that's awesome, but there's no mention of a 360-degree hinge, which to me implies that this display would just be a sturdy touchscreen and not rotate or detach at all. Personally, I just don't see myself using the touchscreen much unless it detaches or at least rotates all the way, but do let me know your thoughts as well. Now, aside from touch support and no blooming, do you know what other advantage this new OLED screen would bring? Well, it would make our wallpapers look even better than before. With a 1:1 aspect ratio, 8K resolution, and with each of them being carefully crafted by our designers, they simply look amazing, especially on a larger device like an iPad or a MacBook. And the best part, you can download the first wallpaper from each pack completely free and in full 8K. We've got no ads, and Wallpapers itself is totally free to download too. Link down below. At number 7, we have the pricing. All of these upgrades, OLED, the new M6 Pro and Max chips, the touchscreen technology, cellular, and the thinner chassis, they are all expected to come at a cost. The current MacBook Pro models with the Pro and the Max chips, the ones that are likely to be updated, they start at $2,000 for the 14-inch and $2,500 for the 16-inch. But the redesigned M6 models could see price increases by several $100s, according to Mark Gurman. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a $2,500 starting price for the 14-inch model, possibly even more with cellular added. So when are we expected to see these new OLED MacBooks? Well, research firm Omdia expects Apple to introduce the first OLED MacBook Pros in 2026, while Bloomberg suggests a launch window between late 2026 to early 2027. So late 2026 is still a possibility. And I definitely do agree with that timeline. Apple typically refreshes their MacBook Pro's design every 4 to 5 years. The original unibody design lasted until 2012. Then we got the Retina unibody, which was replaced in 2016 by the touchscreen MacBook. Then that was replaced in 2021 by the current generation. So a redesign in 2026, 5 years later, does fit perfectly with Apple's usual pattern. Of course, before then, Apple still needs to release the M5 Pro and the M5 Max versions of this generation of MacBook Pros, which would be in early 2026. So this could mean, theoretically, that we could see 2 MacBook Pro refreshes in the same year, an early 2026 and then a late 2026 release. Something that Apple has done in the past multiple times, the most recent time being in 2020 when they had the Intel version and also the M1 version of their 13-inch MacBook Pro. So yes, all in all, the upcoming M6 MacBook Pro is shaping up to be Apple's biggest MacBook overhaul in years, with a thinner design, an OLED touchscreen display, a 2nm M6 Pro and M6 Max chip, and possibly even built-in 5G connectivity. It will likely cost more, but if these rumors come true, it could easily become the best laptop probably ever made. Let me know down below if you're excited for an OLED MacBook Pro as much as I am, and if you plan on picking one up. And subscribe if you want to see more updates on this new generation of MacBook Pros. Check out our app wallpapers for some stunning designs like this one. I'm Daniel, this is ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.